Welcome back, everyone, to Lesser Known Operators. My guest today is Denny Caballero. He is the creator and host of the Security Halt podcast. He is also the producer for the Dan Rayburn podcast, the Broken Brains podcast with Bruce Parkman, and the Asset Mindset featuring Daniel Fieldman. He's always staying busy, and he is always supporting me in any way that I need help. So really has been very helpful for me, and I really appreciate it. Had a good conversation with him today, 1 hour episode. Hope you guys enjoy it too. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, pass these episodes along. Thank you for listening and enjoy the show. Danny, welcome to Lesser Known Operators. Thanks for coming on, man.
Dude, thank you for having me, man.
I really appreciate it, and the honor's mine because I reached out to you, and you don't know who I am, but I promise I'm a GB, even though my profile's nondescript, and we've got the same background. Will you please come on my show you've never heard of until January? And I promise I'm not a troll.
No, dude. No, the one thing this community needs more of is being able to support each other. Like this idea that your success is going to kill my success is fucking ridiculous. Like, and you posted something a couple days ago that I think needs to be celebrated. Like you posted and you let everybody know, like, hey, this is how far I've been on my journey. This is how far like I've gotten, and I appreciate all of you. Like your success not only helps everybody else in the space, but it gives everybody else that's in the fucking lineup in the queue, like proof that their stories matter, that they can go out there and do something that's completely non-standard. And that's important, man. Like we're storytellers, we're connectors. That's what's historically helped heal so many fucking warriors. And we need more. We need more voices. So you're kicking ass, man.
Appreciate that. I really do. And I really appreciate everybody that listens. I love when people like my reels and then follow. I'm like, oh, I created something that makes people laugh. I don't like the comment section. That kind of bums me out because people get in there and they're like, I had a shittier time than you. I'm like, what the fuck? I didn't even say anything about you. I was talking about me. And they're like, well, you should come to the BCT. I was like, no, I went to selection, so I didn't go to the BCT. Like,
I know. I made a while back. I talked about the importance of like what I saw as strength, and I finally reflected back. I saw men of faith, men of value, men of like high integrity and moral courage that were leaders, or even just other guys on the team, but they stood for something. And years later, after they went through horrific shit, they stood firm. They were able to get help, and they didn't have the pitfalls that I started seeing in all my friends. And I realized morals and ethics are important. The greatest killers, the most violent individuals I knew, always stood on the same pillars of faith and family. And I posted that, I'm like, and we need to bring back the old school idea of like, you be a good dude on a team, a solid dude of moral and ethical fiber. And the guys is like, oh, you think the guy with morals is going to be a hitter? I'm like, I've served
God.
with fucking devout individuals, and they were some of the most murdery ass individuals. Like, you don't understand. Like, just because you have faith in ethics doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to do what your nation requires. If anything, it makes you even better of a war fighter. And they fucking destroyed me in the comments. And I remember one specific, like, older guy was like, fuck this guy. I'm a Vietnam era. I committed war crimes, and I think this guy's a piece of shit. And I was like, first of all,
I think we're going to turn off the comments on this one and get back here. We got to actually have to call the police.
Yeah, I quickly deleted that. I'm like, for your safety, sir. Let's delete this from.
You were in my lie too? Jesus, you piece of shit. No, people get bent out of shape. It's like a race to have the shittiest time. And that's not what it's about. We're here to have a better time now. Oh, we can laugh about it. Do I have to make a reel that's specific to every unit so everybody doesn't feel bad? No. So that kind of bummed me out the last few days that everybody's in a race to have the shittiest time and whatever. But you gotta stay out of that. But going back to morals and like what everybody believes on a team, like you go from me, like I just nothing. Like I love like the stars and the universe, and I think we're all just part of it, and there's nothing else. And then you go to people that are actually like preachers in their free time, and go from, that's the whole span on a team. And we all just get along and get the mission done. And there's no judgment or anything like that. But there is coming from other people that don't understand how people can get along in that environment. Like, why can't we get along in that environment? Right?
Dude, it's the greatest experiment. I would say the greatest successful experiment in true diversity and true embracing of all different cultures. I've never felt more at home than being on a detachment, man. Like, and I have to say, man, like, I think there's something special about seventh group. I've been and work with everybody, and dude, the team environment at seventh group always felt like home, especially on like my first team, man. It was a very like different for me. It was like the first time that I felt like I was like, oh shit, like people are talking about like this like diversity and DEI and culture. I'm like, I already had that in SF, man. Like it was a true like not this cookie cutter fake bullshit, but it's like what everybody wants and like dreams of when you looked at like the leftist ideology. Like we already have it in the military. We already have it by and large. And I never felt like we were missing of that. And it was such an amazing experience, especially like coming in like that first year on a team and seeing like how fucking real SF guys are and like seeing like the true brotherhood. I'm like, oh shit, like this is real. This really does happen. And you don't need to force it. You don't need a fake mechanism to make sure it happens. You just have to find people that are willing to go do hard shit. Like that's the true thing that will bring people together. Go find people that are willing to do hard shit and you're gonna find the most diverse fucking group of individuals. I firmly believe that.
It's like it's, yeah, hard shit. It's the top of the mountain, right? And they all want to get to that hard place to prove themselves. And an SF is that one path in the Army. Like selection's always available. You can just go. And I've
Exactly.
I've said many times, and this will probably upset people, the Army is not a place for high performers. If you're the best person in the room, you need to find a different room. And selection is a great way to do that. And then you'll get in the team room and you'll find out you ain't shit. Like everybody's a high performer. And then guess what? When you get in there, there's all these other units that nobody's ever fucking heard of where everybody is a fucking killer, 10 out of 10. And they're fighting over a sliver of personality when you can get in that unit. And then there's shit above that too, that those people didn't even know existed until they got there. And there's all these levels behind the, so if you're like, oh, if you want, good, you want to stay in the regular Army and do your thing, that's cool too. But man, there's some rewarding experiences on the other side of the curtain that you can't comprehend and you don't understand are there until you make that sacrifice. And it is. That's the part they
Absolutely.
don't tell you about because there's a price. Like ringing it up at the register at the store. That price, it might be a positive in your bank account of being a person, and it's most definitely going to be a negative somewhere down the line that nobody's going to talk about. And that's what these like shows about like this. If you want to make this decision to be in special operations or go to these units, there's a cost. Uh, and if there, I could say there is no way you can be ready for all of them to come at you. Like whether it's your mental health, your family life, your physical health. And we were talking earlier about concussions, or oh, I like to have a few drinks. Well, you better get ready to drink a lot. And then guess what? It's going to become a problem.
Yeah. That's one culture that I'm glad to hear is finally making its way out the door, like that drinking culture. I think there's certainly more to life than celebrating your greatest moments by just getting absolutely obliterated.
So you don't even remember them. So you don't even remember it.
Exactly.
Well, hey, guys, that was fucking awesome. We, for 30 days, come back. We did some great shit. You know what? Let's get so blackout drunk we lose the last 2 days of our lives. And one of us is going to get kicked out of the Army. How's that sound?
Fuck, dude. Yeah. That's one of the realest things ever, man. Like you will lose. Shit. I mean, we've got some great dudes that within the soft community, not just SF, are finally opening up and sharing their stories of self sabotage and failure. Like, uh, it happens, man. It happens to the best of us. Like drinking can often lead to some of the worst moments and worst decisions of your life. And I'm so grateful I don't drink. I'm absolutely like somebody that was close to the edge, had been using it to cope, had been using it to get sleep. Or the idea that I needed it for sleep. and it leads down a dark path, man. And I get it. Some people have this idea that they need it in order to have fun. They need it in order to like celebrate. But I always tell people, make the choice, make an informed decision on your own. Like I laid everything out. I went as far back as like understanding like why I thought drinking was an important thing for me. And like went back to like my days as a kid in high school. Okay, it was promoted. It was the cool thing to do. Like, do I really enjoy it? No. That's and just constantly just went through this process for several weeks of just assessing and looking at why, and realized like if you want to be the best version of yourself, if you're trying to cut out everything that is not a performance enhancing factor of your life, why is alcohol still in the equation? It's like, oh yeah, you're right. Like I'm willing to take all these supplements. I'm willing to like try to like cut every corner to be better and be like that 1% better every day. Why am I still drinking? Like what's the benefit of it? So, oh well, I see a lot of the cool people, a lot of the good entrepreneurs, they drink. Oh, and a couple individuals on LinkedIn sorry, that I followed, there's always had like this like fireside chat and drink with bourbon and everything. I'm like, oh, that's what the cool guys, that's what the older like dudes do. And I'm like, I don't want to be that fucking dude. To me now that I think about it, I'm like, that's fucking retarded. Like I'm spending all this time trying to be better and I'm still putting this in my body and I don't feel good the next day. And I realized, okay, like, dude, if I was back on a team and I'm trying to brief my detachment on like the best course of action, would this make it on the list for anything? No, it wouldn't. So cut it out.
Yeah. But I wouldn't change a fucking thing about the past. Not a goddamn, I wouldn't change anything. Like, because I had such a fucking blast.
Yeah.
But now, okay, that's enough. You know, I'm sober just over a year now. It became a problem, like a real problem. Um, and one thing I don't think really anybody has brought up is the reason that people are, especially in the military, are drinking so much is because they're afraid to kill themselves. But alcohol will do it much faster or easier than just, you know, because they can't bring themselves to pull the trigger, but they can bring themselves to go to the store every night
Yeah.
and get a handle of vodka. And then that handle of vodka might have the courage to do something or to self sabotage or ruin their life. And then tying it all the way back to the conversation we had before we started, right? The three pronged uh, cocktail of death is undiagnosed traumatic brain injury, a drinking problem to cope with the undiagnosed traumatic brain injury, and family problems. And you put all the three of those together, and you're not going to be well at all.
Absolutely, brother. You just said it. I couldn't have said it any more perfect. Um, it's absolutely the signature injury of our GWAT era, TBIs. And not enough people are talking about it. Not enough people are willing to take the action to ask the questions. And when you look back at the GWAT, this information was known. It was known for a long time. Some of the first RAND studies identified that blast wave exposure was leading to increased suicide in units. And it wasn't the units that you traditionally would think of, the soft guys, the infantry guys. No, field artillery. That was one of the first units that were studied. I think it was 2008, 2009. And they identified that a National Guard field artillery unit had a higher rate of suicide than soft units. And these units were behind the line. So what was the defining factor? What was happening to these guys? Blast wave
Overpressure, man.
exposure.
Yeah.
Yes. Their fire missions were fucking insane. And when they rotated back, they were losing guys and gals at an insane rate. And they knew about it. They had the measuring devices in their helmet. I'm sure if you're listening, if you've been in the military since the beginning of the GWAT till now, you probably remember all sorts of little different devices that were being given out and issued different units. Like I saw one on Reddit. It's like, what is this thing? And I'm like, that's a blast wave exposure device. But none of us maintained that information and thought to bring it back. And what we're seeing right now, it's an over um, diagnosing of PTSD versus traumatic brain injury. Like you go to your QTC, anybody that's retired or medically retired in the last few decades, you go through these evaluations and you go in for your, if you claim a concussion, they give you a MOCA test. They give you a test that's at best for like 48 hours after a concussion to see if you have a TBI. And of course, that's not the appropriate measure. And they're gonna be like, "Oh, you don't have a concussion. You never had a TBI. You're fine." Because what would it cost the military to pay everybody for blast wave exposure or TBI versus paying you for PTSD? It's always
What's a
about the
few
money.
$1 trillion amongst
Exactly.
friends? We spent $10 trillion, if in 22 years, which I saw an interesting number. Do you know how much $10 trillion is? What you can buy with $10 trillion?
Fuck, man. Everything.
Everything in the United States except the
Yeah.
land. Everything. All the buildings, the pencils, the cars, everything. That's what you can buy. So no, you can wipe debt except for the land in the United States. That's how much we spent.
Yeah.
But all the debts, all the land's owned by
Yeah.
the government because we pay taxes on it. So we don't actually own it. So everything would have been paid off. But anyway, that's just your statistic for the day. But you're right? Because you hang 5 rounds in a row. That's a lot of overpressure. From being on a team. Shit, you set off a couple door charges in a day. You're like, I feel a little woozy.
Yeah. Yeah. Or shooting 50 cals. That's the other thing.
50
We
they're
equate.
MTBIs, MTB
Yeah.
micro. Because if you
Yep.
let's say you get hurt, a regular one, not enough to trigger any sort of medical aid or awareness, right? And then you go get on the 50 or the 240, you're rocking. Your brain is vibrating in there, and that's causing adverse health conditions that you're not going to see until
You're not.
way later on. It's like
Yeah. One of the things that blew me away was how many times we got behind a 50 cal and was like, hey, not even on deployment, not even on deployment. Hey, get through these rounds. Fuck yeah, I'm going to rock this 50. Fuck yeah, I'm going to rock the Beret. Now, how many times in combat where you're like, I'm not going to hump this fucking thing and all the fucking ammo. I'm going to leave all this hate and punishment on the objective. Let's fucking go. Like, I know I'm not the only one that did that. How many fucking rounds did you hump up that mountain? Are you going to fucking bring them all down? Fuck no. Putting all that hate through all your fucking buildings, Taliban. We're fucking knocking it all out. That's just one fucking mission. That's just one fucking example of what could happen to anybody. Anybody. And that's just one weapon system. Like go through your AT4s. Carl Gustav, how many were you supposed to shoot from the standing position, from the kneeling, from the prone? You think any of that matters when you're engaging the enemy, when your brother's lives are on the line? Of course not. You've got to do what's needed to save lives. But nobody's on the backside taking care of the operator. Nobody's on the backside sitting down and saying, hey, we got to get you rotated back to BAF or back somewhere in the evaluation. Just give you a couple of days to make sure you're good to go. It never fucking happened.
I think it's
Guaranteed.
important to point out though, like us would do fucking anything, even if it meant health problems later, to keep and wear the Green Beret. Anything. Like,
Absolutely.
even knowing that it would adversely affect us. That's one thing. We're aware. We signed up for it. We went to selection. We wanted that lifestyle. We're addicted to it. We'll do anything to keep it. That's on us, right? And we kind of are in a position to know all that shit's going to happen because we just don't want it in our way. Now, if you look at it through the lens of secondhand smoking, right? Field artillery, you're not the one pulling the string isn't just getting that overpressure. You know how overpressure works. Everybody up to like
Mm-hmm.
fucking 40, 50
The gun
feet
line, yeah.
behind, 60 feet is absorbing that as well. And even farther to a certain point. So you've got support personnel, in the blast radius, so to speak, absorbing all of these things, and they don't even know it. They're not well aware of the choices that they've made in their career. Standing 10 feet from a door frame and blowing it off and then going in. They didn't
Yeah.
sign up for that. They're doing some other stuff and whatever. Everybody's got their different path and things like that. But if you look at it as like a secondhand smoke thing, there's some issues there. Can
Yeah.
we solve it?
Yeah.
Probably not. Probably because we
No,
got to be able to kill people.
but there is ways to mitigate and lessen it. And I want to go back and say, like, Green Berets, any SOC professional, you will do whatever it takes to complete the fucking mission. That doesn't excuse our government and our senior leadership from doing the right thing for the guys on the backside. There's a conveyor system bringing you into the forces. They check you out from head to toe, make sure you are absolutely able to do everything you need to do. Before you go to dive school, they check every aspect of your heart to make sure you can pass and be under that extreme amount of stress for prolonged periods of time. And they know without a certainty of a doubt, you're not going to fucking die while you're going through the extreme pressures of dive school. They measure every aspect of your performance. On the backside, after your deployments to combat, after all the training you go through, they should do the same fucking thing to make sure you have every fucking resource available to ensure that your quality of life is absolutely the best it can be. What we have right now is a broken fucking system. You're telling me that an 18 Charlie instructor who has advanced signs of brain issues because now he has tremors. Now he can't remember how to get home. You know how much fucking blast that 18 Charlie instructor takes on a daily basis? Insane amount. There's been one individual that I've been able to come across this story, actually documented every single blast they constructed and every single blast they actually fucking like executed with the candidates, with the trainees. When they brought it up to do their QTC appointments, they're like, "This is impossible. There's no way human can go through this amount of pressure." And I'm like, "Well, man, I'm not the only one. There's about 15 more of me, and we get replaced every few years." Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like the amount of failure that I have seen in the system on the back end when those individuals are getting out, when they're retiring, they deserve to have the best treatment available. And we should have, it shouldn't be about sending guys to this nonprofit. No, you should have a complete easy process where the person signs up. Okay, I'm transitioning out. I'm retiring. Okay, cool. We got your appointments for the fucking, we're going to get you a hyperbaric chamber. We're going to get you over here for get your cancer screening. None of that exists right now. There isn't a pathway to ensure that you get every single thing you need before you get out. And I think that's criminal. Absolutely fucking criminal. You can sit there and talk about soft capex. You can talk about every single great thing that you have coming for the force. But until you fucking address that humans are more important than fucking hardware, you are failing the Green Berets. You are failing the fucking regiment, and you need to do better.
Yeah, it's expensive to acknowledge that, and well, they have to admit, oh shit, we may have been doing things wrong, and then we have to change. But it's a lot easier to just wait for you to fucking die, right?
Yeah.
Like they did with the Vietnam vets. The only reason the PACT Act went through so fast is because of social media. It gained so much traction so quickly that they had to do something. Agent Orange took what 20 times as long,
Yeah.
something like that. So, but everything moves at a faster pace now, and maybe people coming on and talking about the shit, and then it'll get to the right person, and a former Green Beret's gotten into the right place in, or even it doesn't have to be a Green Beret, special operations veteran has gotten into the right place in Congress to talk in the right person's ear to say, hey, we need to do something about this, because it's all
It's all of
nepotism
us.
at that level. It's all of
It's
us,
all
and
of
it's all
us.
at that level. Hey, if there's nobody making noise about your constituents, then they're not going to listen and they're not going to make change. So it has to just keep getting brought up, so that somebody will listen at some level.
We do have some advocacy that's led to a lot of eyes. Like, shout out to Dave Phillips from New York Times. He's the one that wrote the story on undiagnosed traumatic brain injuries on the SEAL community. He broke that story and it went nationwide, and it started people finally talking more about it. Guys like Dr. Mark Gordon, and Dr. Chris Free, guys that are treating our soft professionals and helping them get the care they need, because that's one thing we don't hear enough about are the successes. The guys are able to come back from the brink, from the void of circling the drain. Because you know this, when you're dealing with something that nobody can see, that nobody, it's not only impossible to describe, but the fact that you're a Green Beret, that you're a high performer, you don't wear it on your face every single day. You fucking do a great job of selling it. You sell it every single fucking day. But then when enough is enough, a lot of guys check out. So it's like, I never knew there's anything going on. It's like, of course, because we're not missing an arm, we're not missing a leg. It's in here. And a lot of times, because you're a high achiever, you're fucking great at selling it. You've always had to sell it. You're a great connector. You try to be the best, the optimistic guy. But inside, you're fucking fighting a hell of a fucking firefight.
We are very good at absorbing suffering, right? And then we'll take it on with no effect on us for extended periods of time. And then once you've had enough, that's it. And not only does all of the stuff that continues, it's not like a cup and then it just starts flowing over. Then the cup disappears and all of it hits you, all of it at the same time. You, everything you were putting off starts to affect you, and everything coming in. And that's when you see guys either check out or uh, torpedo their lives
Yeah.
in an irreparable way, because they just can't deal with it anymore. And they were fine until they weren't. And then everybody's not fine. It's unfortunate. I lost my real good friend, my best friend, 2 years ago. Um, and that happens all the fucking time.
Yeah, man.
And it's unfortunate.
That's the thing that really sucks. That's like the really shitty side of this whole thing is the friends that we're losing that we could have easily identified early on in the transition process as guys that needed higher levels of care, and they're just slipping by the wayside. Like, I lost a really good friend, and it looks like it was just drinking. It looks like it was just somebody that took too much of their medication and was drinking too much, but that's not the case. That's not the case. He's trying to cope with what nobody else can see. Like, and that's a shitty part. No one will be, you're not going to get the satisfaction. His brain can't go to Dr. Ann McKee at Boston University for them to do a CTE study on his brain. But you're telling me a fucking hitter from Ranger Regiment, fucking rotating back and back to have back and forth to Afghanistan years and years at a time. You're telling me he doesn't have issues, doesn't have TBI when he meets all the checklists and operative syndrome. Fucking, like, it's insane that we're still losing dudes. And the way it manifests oftentimes looks like it's just a drinking problem. And it's like, no, man, it's deeper. It's deeper than that.
I know what you mean. Yeah. The shop it's always open, or they'll
Yeah,
always sell
dude.
you more. And
Yeah.
you don't want to feel like a bitch, right? I got a headache. I'm having weird dreams. I'm a little angry. Let me have a drink.
Mm,
I got problems at home, and she's not dealing with my personality very well. Let me go have a drink. And endless scenarios down the line, right? And you'll try and mute those symptoms by just drinking, and then you're depressed, and then you're angry, right? And it all just starts ping ponging in the room, um, and then it becomes too much, and then you can't handle it, and then nobody likes you, and that's probably a red flag. Is by the time people start telling you that they think something's wrong, that ship has sailed.
yeah.
We've left the harbor, and oh shit, now other people have finally got up enough courage to tell me that they're seeing these things. Oh fuck, we're fucked at this point, because that person's not going to listen, and I didn't want to listen, right? And then the booze is talking, or whatever you're taking is talking, and you have a completely different personality. So who you were is now, dormant, and now this new coping mechanism is taken over to try and preserve this fucked up way of life that you've gotten yourself into, because you can't emotionally deal with your problems at all. It's too bad, right? But yeah, you're right. Hopefully, and I've seen the numbers about the modern generation, right? Drinking's way down
It is.
on priority.
That blew me out of that. I thought it would be the other way. I thought that we had a new generation of guys and gals that were rallying around drinking. Like, I don't go to bars anymore. I don't go out, and I'm not the cool kid scene. I just always thought, I'm like, oh yeah, it's just gonna be rank and file. But everything that they're talking about or the stats are showing that people aren't going out and drinking like they used to, which is great in my opinion.
Yeah. Fentanyl overdoses are way up.
Yeah,
So
that's
there's that.
there's that.
Um, so I don't know if we traded going out and blacking out for something much worse because they're still getting that now. Now those are
Yeah,
in our demographic age group though too is the
yeah.
highest of those sorts of things. So, but everything everything swings one way, it's extreme, and it swings back the other way. As in history and newspapers, only the names and dates change. Everything else is exactly the same. So everything's going to repeat itself. Drinking will go down, and then other things will spring up. So, but like as a resource, right? What do you think? And I've been developing this because there are people that are going to need help, and there's people going to need to reach out, and it's you can be a little overwhelming on, hey, who do I need? How do I get help, or how do I reach out to somebody? Do you think? And I'm a small fish, like micro influencer at this point, and you're bigger than I am, and then there's bigger people than you, right? Do you think because we're using this, our background as our pedigree, right, to as the basis for building ourselves up and our what we did in the community, do you think there's a responsibility on our part to be the best example that we can and a resource for people to reach out to when they need help? And if we don't have the answers for them, we can get them to the right people that do.
I don't want anybody to think that the Green Beret, it certainly gives us a little bit of a foot in the door, but anybody can
It's the
become a
it's the basis
champion.
though. It's
Yeah. I think that I've met a lot of people on this journey. That's like one of the things I like to say is like kill the myth that only a soft guy can come do this. Like, no, fuck that. George Hayworth is a great example. He's a field artillery guy. No fucking combat experience, but he saw a need to have the ability to speak for everyday individuals are suffering. They're dealing with something that needs somebody that can say like, hey man, like let's go back to the basics. There's a lot of guys out there. I think if you're a man of something, you stand for something. If you have a mission and a calling, that's enough. I think we need more individuals like that. And yeah, we need individuals, not just men, but I want to focus on our guys for a second because our generation of men were sold a lie for a long time. And it's time for us, for those that have awakened, for those that have found a real true understanding of what it means to be a good man, a strong man, to stand up and say, hey, like, if you need help, reach out. I might not know what you're going through exactly, but I've suffered too. Like, so I don't need to know everything, but I can help you and connect you to the right resource. We don't have to have the answers. We're not, I would say everybody in the military, if you're getting out, go take a peer-to-peer support certification course, 2 days out of your life. Help you learn how to talk to a veteran in crisis, a brother in arms, a sister in arms. It will give you a little bit of tools to be able to connect with somebody that's in suffering. You don't need to be able to solve their problems. You just need to be able to listen, be present in that moment with them, and maybe help them Google a resource in their area. Like that's all. That's all a lot of us need when you're in that deep, dark pit of despair. Just having somebody that's willing to sit there in that space with you and maybe say like, hey, let's get you to the right person. We have these resources in the local area, and now more than ever, bro, like there's so many treatment centers that are beginning to get a lot of good spotlights out there. Mighty Oaks, Laurel Ridge Treatment Center, like uh, Heroic Hearts, tons of places that have built reputable treatment protocols that can help somebody in crisis. And oftentimes, all that person needs is somebody like you and I that are willing to say, hey, let's take a knee together. Let's face out. Let's pull security. Let's get our ducks in a row and let's get you to the help you need. Because I wasn't willing to get help and I was really hesitant. But I guarantee, looking back, if I would have had another Green Beret do exactly that, just pull security next to me, take a knee and say, hey, man, what's going on, Chief? Like, what's really going on? Take the mask for 2 seconds. because it was a long time before I accepted I needed to go somewhere. But I guarantee that time could have been shortened down if I had one more person from my background that was willing to say, hey, we're all human. We all fall apart. Let's go get better. That's what we need more of.
I when I did my TEDx talk, right? Like one of the basis for writing it was I was regarded as like a, a Green Beret, like the man on the pedestal, right?
Yeah.
And a soldier that society thinks is invincible. And the whole point is like, I'm not. Like, if I can stand up here and tell strangers that I'm fucked up, well, then you can too, right? Because I'm not invincible. I'm just a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude, basically.
Yeah.
And I still have injuries and I still have problems, and I can say, yeah, I'm fucked up. I need help, or I need help with this. Just talk to me and things like that, and then show that other people that they can too. That's another thing. Like these problems aren't exclusive, and you've interviewed way more people than I have. But everybody that comes on the show, I don't want to say everybody, but to some extent, almost everybody that's come on my show has gone through this shit at one time or another and been like, oh yeah, totally, or to the point of total destruction to where like brink of suicide to, yeah, it became a problem and I had to stop and I saw it early. That full gamut, but usually towards the former end. Um, that's heartbreaking. It really is that we all
It's
get to that point.
it's it is, but it's also beautiful to understand the power of common humanity and seeing how resilient uh, we humans really are. Everybody that I've talked to, the most impactful, heartbreaking stories of loss, of trials that most people can't fathom, because our origin story is so deeply tied to traumatic events. A vast majority of us within the soft community come from a background of suffering, a background of having dealt with misery and pain and loss. So when we deal with it again later on in life, even though we stumble, even though we fall, even though we nearly come close to losing it all, we still find a way to achieve. And it's not by ourselves. Oftentimes, these stories are of being vulnerable, of being brought to your knees and asking for help. And through that process, you're able to have that post traumatic growth of that hero's journey, finally coming home, being able to say, man, I was broken. I went all the way down, hit rock bottom. And in that moment, I reached out for help and somebody reached across the void and helped me up, got me out of that. And I started moving forward. I started walking a little bit. I started healing and recovering. And then their journey turns into one of a testimony for something that helped them, something that helped them completely recover. Now they want to help others have that full circle journey. Martin Acosta, great friend, amazing human being. Like his story is just as impactful because it covers all those aspects of like being faced with the worst moment you could ever imagine, then having to face the reality that life's forever changed and having to deal with, overcoming addiction, overcoming the ideas that you're broken and no longer useful to the regiment, and then having to realize that what really matters is family. What really matters is you've been giving the gift of life, and you're not going to squander it anymore. Your next chapter is going to be purposeful. And then seeing him turn that that corner and seeing him how he's taking his platform, taking his story to help others, like that's a template of success for anybody that's suffering, going through anything. It doesn't have to be the same thing. But if you're able to identify with the idea that like suffering is a part of life, I have to get through this and I will get through this. And on the backside, take this suffering and turning it into a meaning, turning it into a purpose for others. Like that's a great awakening. That's a great understanding of what life truly is about. Like we focus too much on the suffering in the moment. Like I did it for a long time too. And I don't judge anybody that's still in that mindset, but open up your aperture. If you're in it right now and you're listening to this and you're going through it, no matter what it is, understand that it will dissipate. It will get better. Focus on going through this pain. Focus on making it through this journey, and then turning this journey into something of purpose to help others. Like, you're going to get through this. It's common humanity. What you're suffering through today, somebody else in this world is suffering through it too. You're not alone. And that is a huge, important milestone to get to. It's not easy to accept that. It's not easy to accept that, like, okay, I'm not alone in this. This sucks. But it's going to move. It's going to dissipate. It's tied to all sorts of different emotions, depression, anxiety. It can make us feel like the world is never going to get better. But I assure you, if you're listening today and you're in it, it's going to get better. Time heals all wounds. Whether you want to believe that or not, it will.
You could take that same sound clip and then apply it to Team Week.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
That's like, oftentimes people always ask, like, what do I need in order to make it through selection? I'm like, learn how to suffer well, learn how to be that quiet voice of
You could
like
just take
positivity.
everything you just said and apply it to that down pilot exercise. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking around. It's got to get better eventually. And
Yeah.
that dude's crying. Oh my God. Fuck. Maybe things are going to get worse before they get worse.
But we forget about the beauty of the moment that you're in. Like, dude, life's not meant to be fucking perfect every single day. Take a breath. Take a deep breath. Take a knee. Understand that, like, okay, this is my present moment. I can either sit here and I know how important and how impactful it is to do it, and I know how shitty it is to be reminded to do it in the moment of the worst fucking day of your life. But please understand there is a power in just acceptance, radical acceptance, and just saying, okay, like, this sucks right now, but I can't do anything about it. I'm just going to keep moving forward. Keep fucking moving forward. Like,
Better to have, you got to have more good days than bad days. That's it. All right. So I know why I started the show, right? I want to be the show to be so big on its own that special operations cats can come see me and I give them a platform to launch or whatever. Even if there are nobodies, my favorite episode that I did was a guy that didn't want me to list his last name, had no social media presence. He's like, hey, I'd like to record something so my kids can watch it years later about my story and stuff. I'm like, that's fucking cool.
that's
That
awesome.
changed my whole outlook on the show. And we did it, and it's still one of my favorite episodes because he's just talking about his career and stuff for people to have to look at later, and his friends. And you can't find him unless you know his face. You're not going to find him. So, but why did you start Security Halt? Because how far into it now are you?
285 hit today, 285 or 286. Yeah.
I'm
Had
hitting 20
started.
tomorrow.
Yeah, man. That's a cornerstone of success. First truth about podcasting is a vast majority don't ever make it to 20. That's truth.
99%.
So there's a lot of like success to be had and a lot of like celebration to be had that you made it to this. And then just understand that the people that you started with, because you'll build like a little quiet info, like, support group of people you start at the same time. Like, slowly you'll start reaching out to each other and connecting and supporting each other. And I don't think any of those shows that I started with are still. I checked out a couple, and I don't think they're gone. They stopped producing like in 2021. They stopped producing, and it's like, man, that sucks. Like, you had a good show. You had great stuff you were putting out there, and inevitably you realize that it wasn't their passion. It wasn't what they woke up to. And somebody asked me this a while back, is like, fuck, man, like, how do you continue to put episodes out there? I'm like, I don't see it as a fucking option, dude. I don't. Like, my workload is stupid. It's stupid. But I found something that I believe in and I'm passionate about. And the reason I started it was because I didn't have a traditional way of like being able to put out and help others. But I had two friends that we'd always helped each other, always kept each other afloat in the hardest times. We were just nerds. We talked about Star Wars, we just had the craziest jokes. And I thought we were just fucking absolutely the greatest at on the spot fucking commentary. And me, Greg, and Paul started this thing. And Greg and I and Paul served in the 82nd together. And they had gotten out before I did. And I saw the identity crisis. I saw the purpose crisis hit them. And I was always there. And we were always there to help each other. And while I was quietly suffering, not willing to share what I was going through, I wanted to help others because I saw other people fall into the wayside. And it was kind of like, well, let's just talk about what we're going through. We're always reaching out, talking to each other about anxiety, depression. Why don't we just put a real face to it? And then maybe we can start highlighting some of the things that work to help people. And we started doing that for season 1, season 2, season 3. In season 3, we started getting crazy with it, we brought in other friends, my old 18 Fox, my old TAC P, just had this great little echo chamber of like humor and talking about like what we were going through. At that point, some of us had gone through, treatment centers, had gone to mental health centers and started like having this ground, like PDSS of like what you need to know before you go to Laurel Ridge, PDSS, what you need to know before you go to the TBI clinic, things that worked on the outside, like once we left, how to stay in the same habits. But then, just like I mentioned earlier about that passion thing, like everybody thinks that this is like an easy way into lots of money. And it can be if you have notoriety already, if you are part of a successful studio, if you have a face, or you just have, um, you're talking about something that's so undeniably popular that, like Mr. Beast, like, or Mr. Ballin, like you capitalize on something like telling, there are popular themes and genres in podcasting. And if you tap into those and you have the right charisma, the right person, the right host, the right message, you can shoot through the ranks. But that's not security. That's not been the path. The path ended up being that by season 3 or 4, the hobby was no longer palatable for a lot of my friends. Things changed in life, responsibilities. One of my friends ended up being a single dad. He has to take care of a child. He's got to work a demanding job and he went back to school. Another one had, 3 kids and a family life that he had to prioritize. And it just became this thing of like schedules conflicting. People wanted to take time off. And this was still my mission. This was still the thing I wanted to do. And I don't want to compromise. So I continued the mission. And while my friends redeployed back home and moved on with their lives, I stayed engaged. I stayed in this and I honed my practice. And then I got hired to do my first producer gig. And then I realized, okay, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. I can help others create their shows and launch their shows. Like I'm going to study this side of the thing and I'm going to continue grinding. I'm going to continue studying my audience. I'm going to continue doing my mission because this is still my number one, like just like an SF. Like what's your primary mission? This Security Halt. What's your secondary? Dan Rayburn podcast, Broken Brains. Now the asset mindset, and then launching another podcast here in a couple weeks for another foundation. And when you dive into your purpose, into your mission, stay resolute to it. I think I told you this one of the earliest talks, but like find ways to make revenue. Like I figured out how to do social media marketing. So I got hired by other people to do it for them. And I realized like, hey, this is still my primary mission. I want this brand to grow because I think there is a power in positivity. I think there's a power in talking and advocating, not just for the special forces guys, but for every active duty service member, every veteran. Because we know the same things we're suffering, our field artillery guys are suffering from, our 11 Charlies are suffering from. Like they need a voice. Why not? Why not focus on it? Why not continue to hone this craft as well? And that's my passion. So Security Halt, I was thinking that I would see Security Halt die because I didn't have the supporting roles, the supporting guests anymore of my friends, of my co-anchors. And what happened was the absolute opposite. when I started refining and working on my delivery and focusing on bringing guests, because as you know, that's one of the hardest things to do, to book a guest over and over and over and over and over and over and find good people and keep digging, keep digging, keep digging. And I realized like I didn't doubt myself in selection. I doubted myself in so many other different aspects of my military career. But when I was in selection, or when I went to CIFSIC, or I went to any other school in the Army, I never doubted myself. I kept saying, keep pushing. You're going to learn this. You're going to learn this. Like, I had a supplemental math book in the 18 Bravo course. Like, if like that tells you anything. A lot of people are always like, oh, 18 Bravos are dumb. Like, yeah, I'm very bad at math, but I didn't quit then. So why would I quit now? That was the hardest fucking thing at that moment. And the hardest thing is your hardest thing till you get to the next one. Never thought in a million years I'd go to sniper school and fucking pass sniper school, because it's nothing but math. But I fell in love with that. Like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm going to study the shit out of this. I'm going to learn the art of this so I can pass. And I passed. In every other school, you fall in love with the hard shit and you figure it out. That's the same approach I took to podcasting and production. Like, you fall in love with the hardest parts of it and you learn how to do it, and you learn how to do it well, and you get better and you refine it and you get better and you grow and you find a way to do it. And that's Security Halt day in and day out. Like, that's like nobody's going to tell you that at a fucking master's course for business. Like, they can't teach you this shit. Like, I've learned so much on my own and by reaching out to other entrepreneurs. And that's why I always say I'm a dog shit entrepreneur. But the one thing that baffles me is I've met a lot of people that have their MBA and they go into the entrepreneurial space and they just spend their time pivoting. Like, they start in one thing and now they're fucking rubber dog toys out of China. And I'm like, dude, like, why did you move? Why are you constantly moving out of your grind? Like, you're in this, like, you didn't stay in your loops. Oh, I started doing this and then now I'm in sales, but I'm going to go back to this. I'm like, find what you're passionate about first. Like, find how to make that your thing, figure out a way to make money out of that. Like, if you're constantly moving out of a sphere into another, out of another into another, like, just go to a factory, just go get a fucking job at a factory. Like, just, they, you have to understand that if you can't become absolutely dedicated to something and be focused on that, like, and laser focused and grind the fuck out of it, like, you are not going to be successful. You have to be focused on that thing and study it and learn it and be devoted to it. Like, that's one thing I've realized when I talk to people that I respect and whose input is valuable. They always tell you the same thing. You have to stay committed to it. If it's not fruitful, if it's a bad business endeavor, then by all means get out of it. But if you're just going to quit 2 weeks into it, like, that's not the thing for you. Like, you have to be in love with this thing. You have to really love it. And I've helped and talked to people all the time. And if they're solely focused on the monetary value, like, yeah, we're going to make this channel blow up, and they'll spend fucking thousands of dollars on fake fucking, or they'll buy an account on YouTube that already has a following. And it's like, what are you doing, man? Oh man, we got to make it big right off the start. And I'm like, okay, maybe. But if you're not in love with this, why are you even fucking doing it? Like, it's like, if you're starting out this endeavor because you just want to make a shitload of money, like, I don't know, dude. Like, you, maybe OnlyFans, maybe maybe OnlyFans. Try that first.
you you have to be obsessed. Really, if you want to set yourself apart, you have to be obsessed. And I watch our peers that have their businesses based on getting people selected, right? And then I think back, I was like, I didn't need any of that. I did everything myself. The reason I passed was because there was no, that it's not that, the cheesy line that failure wasn't an option. It didn't fucking exist. It wasn't even a thing. It was, I have to go to selection. Okay, I just getting through selection so I can go to the Q course, and then I get through the Q course. Okay, that's just something I have to do. It's not that stupid line of failure wasn't an option, or fucking I'm going to do this no matter what. It's like, no, I'm okay. That's where I'm going. That's it.
Yep.
There's no path. There's no deviation.
Yeah.
There's nothing like that. It's either I'm going to die or I'm going to figure this out.
It's
And
the
that's
old advantage of, like, you can't have a plan B. Like,
Burn the ships, right?
yeah,
Fucking
yeah. I,
as
I,
stupid as that is.
it's true, man. Like, dude, there's going to be a lot of doubt. There's days where I'm just like, do I have enough bandwidth to take on another client? Can I do this? Can I fucking do this? And I'm like, goddamn right, I'm going to. Sorry. Um, I'm going to fucking do it. Like, there's no, the only way is through. And to some people, it seems, if you've never been in that mindset, it sounds stupid. But to me, because I can intimately touch points in my life where that was just the only thing that got me through. Like, drop it in low and push through. You you have to build that resilience through struggle. It's not built in happy good times. Like, get through it. No matter what the workload is, get through it. And I know that it sometimes that pushes with the message I try to say with mental health. Like I just had a sleep doctor on the show, and I know the importance of sleep. But with my due dates and my mission is to get X amount of assets published for a client, that's a motherfucker. That's what's happening. Like,
You had a sleep doctor on, right? Okay, well, I can't get 8, I can get 6. Okay, how can I get 6 better? How can I get better 6 hours of sleep? And then you got to make those changes. You can make the changes. You're not sleeping at a patrol base. Okay, I might have to get a better mattress, or I got to get the room the right temperature when I sleep, or start taking having a nightly routine, 3-2-1, right? um, Routines to get yourself to sleep. There's stuff you can do. That's when people ask me about the gym. They're like, "How'd you get so big?" I was like, "You're going to need a time machine, and you're going to have to go back 20 years and start being okay with being very uncomfortable in the gym. That's how you're going to have to do it." And that's with the same with business. Is with me learning this shit. I mean, I don't know how to do like any of this, and if I can make it work, oh my god, like.
bro, if I can figure it out, that's the one thing I always tell people. I'm like, dude, maybe all you have to do is believe in yourself. It sounds stupid, but maybe that's what you're lacking. Because I didn't know how to set up this fucking camera. Like, I spent days trying to figure out why this thing wasn't talking to the software, and then come to find out it didn't have the right data cable. How did I find that information? I went and I looked for it. What the fuck am I
YouTube.
doing wrong? Like, YouTube Academy, dog.
I got a
YouTube Academy.
$40 camera and
Yeah,
YouTube, it was terrible right out of the box. And I'm
yeah,
on YouTube and there's some guys on there got a video. Like, no, that's how you do it. I'm like, oh, if you don't know how to do something, somebody's done it. Now just don't listen to too many people. Don't
yeah,
listen. That's when you start getting conflicting reports about what's going on. But
yeah.
I wish I had more time with you, Denny.
Yeah, let's do a part two, man. Do a
We
part
can.
two. Run it back.
We will. We'll save and then we'll record some more. But last one.
Yeah, man.
How has your personality changed since doing the show? Because I feel great since listening to other guys like me and their stories. And I've even become more okay with never deploying to combat because I did everything that the Army asked me to do. And it wasn't my choice to get hurt. I've, I mean, 30, I think 33 episodes now I've recorded. And I just feel completely different. What do you feel?
Everything. So, but the biggest thing that helped me in my time of like being in crisis, and in my time of like real suffering, was mindfulness. That was like the first thing that really gave me a tangible tool that I could hold on to, that I could learn, that I could see like positive change. It wasn't medication. It wasn't like, I love talk therapy, love EMDR, but mindfulness felt like it was mine. I'm learning it. I'm holding on to it. I can I can literally see the benefits of it. And one of the lessons in mindfulness is common humanity. And that was my biggest fear, was getting out here on this platform or on YouTube or anywhere, and seeing my positivity being met with negativity, with comments of like, you're not a Green Beret. Green Berets don't talk about being kind and being emotionally intelligent. you're a faggot, you're a piece of shit. And while those comments are very much in there, they exist. I realized that there were other Green Berets, other Rangers, other SEALs, MARSOC Raiders, Air Force, TACPs, CCTs, PJs that had the same lived experience and were looking for somebody saying the same things. And it felt like I wasn't speaking to an empty void, but I was speaking to other warriors, other men, other people that were suffering and needed a brother to say the quiet things out loud. And that to me is like the biggest thing I take away is like, if you're starting this journey and you want to be positive and you don't want to sit there and shit on some operator who's full of shit, sharing and selling bullshit, and you don't want to talk about negative experiences, you don't want to highlight somebody's worst day and get a play by play back on how they were left bleeding out on a mountainside, but you want to focus on real human stories and you want to focus on authentic stories of that are meaningful. Like there's a place for you here. You can be successful. People want to hear those stories and they need to be told. Like that's what I realized. I'm like, okay, like if I can just be counter all of that, not to shit on people, not to say like what other people are creating isn't good enough. Obviously they're making money, they're doing well for themselves, but I want to have a space for the other side of it, because I feel that the human part of the Green Beret, of the Ranger, of the SEAL, of the CCT needs to be explored. You're a human being first. You are somebody that needs to be highlighted as being able to grow and adapt, not just kept in this mold of the operator. You're more than that. You're a father, you're a husband, you're a successful business owner, you're an entrepreneur. Like, I want to hear all that part. I already know your story. And the civilians that never deployed, they, they see your story as a movie. They'll never be able to understand what it's like to suffer in your capacity. So I don't want to talk about that. I
No.
want to be able to talk about what they can understand too. Going into a second chapter in their life, into the unknown of being a business owner, into the unknown of becoming a cattle rancher, the unknown of becoming a teacher after living a life of being a warrior for 20 fucking years. That to me is cool. And I'd like to highlight those stories. I think more people need to be doing it. So if I can at least show people that it can be done, I'm here for it. And if you're looking for a producer, I'm here for that as well.
Fuck yeah, man. One of my previous guests, he said, the hardest part isn't getting the Green Beret, it's earning the right to wear it every day. And hope we can put out stories that make that easier to understand for most people,
Absolutely.
and put out a good message. And you're right. There's no point in drumming up more bad shit. There's enough bad shit. Um, I appreciate you coming on. We'll do it again here soon. Bye,
Yeah,
everybody.
man. It's a pleasure.